Hello everyone, and welcome to the 5th episode of my 11-part series outlining the first year of ownership with a Mercedes product used out of warranty. And it is updated every month. We are just now at 87,001 miles. Turned over 87,000 miles on this very trip home from work. So put somewhere over just a little over 5,000 miles on it now, and luckily so far there's nothing bad to update. The car is great. I love it just the same as I did when I first got it, so no problems, nothing really to report there. I think instead what I'll do, and this one might be a little bit shorter, but I'll answer a couple of questions that had popped up in the comments. And I'd like to start with one. It was a really good question. One comment said something regarding an aftermarket warranty or maintenance scheduled maintenance plan, or whatever they call them. It's a good question. The reason why I didn't, when I went through the credit union that I use and asked them about the aftermarket maintenance plans that they have, or warranty, whatever you want to call it, basically they told me the things that are covered in that plan are major issues: engine, transmission, differentials, something like that that goes bad. But anything deemed routine maintenance isn't covered. So a lot of your problems with European cars come with the complexity of systems. And by that I mean the aromatic suspension system is obviously more high maintenance or more troublesome than a traditional coil spring. Because with a traditional coil spring, there's nothing to go bad. I mean, it could rust or it could break in half, and I get that. I understand that it's not an anvil, it's not indestructible, but there's nothing complex about it. It's a piece of metal turned into a coil, and as long as that doesn't break, which is pretty rare that they would break, you don't have any problems out of them. So just that as an example, the complexity of the suspension system on this car with, several different sensors to monitor height and to monitor load, and, the air compressor, different valves, and then obviously your air springs. There's just so much more to go wrong. So something like that would be more beneficial if it were covered to get the aftermarket warranty. I was basically told, and it may not be the same for all of them, I understand that. You may have some experiences with an aftermarket warranty company that you go through that you've had good luck with, and they replace things like that, and that's great. The options that were right in front of me didn't cover that. So I will take my chances, and I will assume that Mercedes built a good engine, a good transmission, good differentials, and I won't have to worry about the things that are covered under that plan. And, if something goes wrong with them, then I'll get my hands dirty and I'll change them, rather than spend the money for somebody else to do it, providing I can do it. But that was a really good question, and probably something that I should have touched on. I'm not, why I'm doing these videos. I mean, I don't monetize videos or anything else. I'm doing this as a, kind of something helpful for people that might be looking at these cars. It was something I looked for when I was buying my next car, and I didn't really see a whole lot of, I saw reviews, like, somebody who was test driving the car or whatever, but as far as the first year of ownership, when you're talking about an 8-year-old Mercedes Benz that's just out of warranty, because it's about the best time to buy one of these cars. There's a reason why the cost is so different from new to 6, 7, 8 years old. Because when it's new, you have that warranty coverage, and a typical buyer for these cars, typical, not everybody, but a typical buyer for these cars is going to buy it and have the dealership do everything to it. Maintenance, repairs, everything. And if there's something wrong with the car, they're not going to troubleshoot it. They're not going to turn wrenches on it. They're going to drop it off at the dealership and say, it's doing this, please fix it. So because that is the typical Mercedes-Benz buyer, it's a lot more appealing when it's new and it's covered under warranty. The problem with that is, for me, the car was $70,400 when it was new. And I don't have that kind of money to spend on a car. So you can buy it for less than 25% of that with 80,000 miles, a little over 80,000 miles, and 8 years of wear on it. This one was in that category. So, you know, because of that, they're a great buy, as long as you're not afraid to do some troubleshooting, to do your own maintenance, because let's face it, this isn't a 1985 300D. This isn't a mechanical tank that is real easy to work on, real easy to troubleshoot. It's a complex automobile, and because of the computer systems and things like that, there are a lot of things that I personally can't do, and that maybe some of you can't do. You need the Star Diagnostics computer and all that to do a lot of things with this car. But besides that, anything else, I'm not afraid to do it. So that's why, to me, it's a really good buy, because you're getting a lot of car for the money if you're not afraid to take care of things that go wrong with it. And then I had another question, more of a comment than anything, said something about the Star Diagnostics system. That Star computer is not required to do the transmission service. I shared a link, and it was in my first video where this comment was made. I shared a link where I got that information, and it was a really good source from the Mercedes Benz forums, where people do this kind of stuff all the time. And it did say specifically, in order to get the engine at in order to get the transmission at proper temperature, and it's not just operating temperature. It's not, you can't just let it run for 20 minutes and say that's good. It has to be at this exact temperature. I don't remember what that is. It's in that write-up. I wasn't concerned, because I knew I wasn't going to do it, because I wasn't going to buy a $500 Star Diagnostics system just to do that, when the whole transmission service is $400 at the local independent European service center here in town. So I just had them do it, and you know, that's something maybe some of you have some experience with, and if that's the case, then correct me if I'm wrong, but that write-up specifically did say that the Star computer was required. So, but overall, I mean, if you're on a tight budget after buying the car, and you say, okay, I want to buy this car and I can afford the car, but afterwards, I'm not going to spend the $400 to get, and that's my indie mechanic. It's not going to be the same everywhere. The dealership, it's $700 to do the transmission service. And of course, that's all the labor, and that's the pan gasket, and there's a couple of O-rings, and then the filter, and they drain the torque converter, and they do everything right. So it's not simple. It's not an easy backyard job. And again, to get the fluid to the proper level, you have to have perhaps the star diagnostics computer. Not certain, but that's the way I understand it. If you don't have those kind of things in the budget, it's probably not a good car for you, because they're not cheap to maintain. They're very dependable, they're very reliable, but they're not low maintenance. And European cars haven't been for a long time. Again, that's part of the complexity of systems. Whether it be, you know, the engine is actually rather simple. The transmission is not. This is a very sophisticated transmission, but it's smooth as silk. It downshifts without changing from one gear to the next. It just chooses the best gear. So you can actually go from 7th to 4th without going 7, 6, 5, 4. It'll actually skip gears. Really sophisticated, and I'm sure it's a very expensive system to replace, but it's also very reliable. You have to take care of it, which is why at 80,000 miles, I knew it was due for the second transmission service. The first one was done on time. I have full documents on the maintenance history of the car. It was very well maintained, but that's one thing that I knew was due. So I knew going into it, as soon as I buy this car, I'm going to have to do that. Oil changes aren't cheap. It holds 9 quarts of oil, and you want to use a good oil. We won't argue over what oil you should use, but the most popular choice seems to be the Euro Formula Mobil 1. There are many that you can use, obviously. A lot of good engine oil out there, but that's what I used in this. The filters are cheap. The filters are not expensive. I get MAN fleece filters, and I'm actually getting ready to do another oil change this weekend. But I bought a 2-pack of those, and I think it was like $14 for the MAN fleece filters, which are a really good filter for this car. So not everything's super expensive, but it's not a cheap car to own and maintain. But so far, knock on wood, through about 6 months of ownership now, it's been 100% trouble-free. It's been a great car, and I'm really enjoying it. So looking forward to talking to you guys next time. And until then, enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.